Hello, I'm Jack and this is Entertainment World, and today I will be reviewing Dawn of the Dead 2004 version. As you may know if you watched my previous video, I said I'll be reviewing all the films directed by Zack Snyder as well as the other films in the DCEU in the lead up to the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League sometime in March, whenever that is. Because obviously, like I said, I was part of the movement, I wanted to get it released, so I'm happy it's getting released. So I'll be reviewing all of those films between now and then, and obviously this is the first film. But before I get started, if you watch this and you don't know anything about the Snyder Cut movement or what the Snyder Cut is, or you've only heard of it but you don't really know anything in detail, and you want to know more, you're not against it, you actually want to know what the film is and how different it is and, why we spent so much time trying to get it released, I recommend some Instagram pages. You've got DC Universe, you've got Zack Snyder's Justice League, you've got the Snyder Cut. If you look up these, they'll all come up. Zack Snyder's Justice League is the one I probably recommend most because he posts a lot of there, and he also has a YouTube channel called Our Movie Review, which again, it has a lot of content related to the Snyder Cut. It's very detailed, so I recommend you watch that, and he does things for each character, so I recommend you go watch his videos if you want to learn more. If he goes into very detail. I'm going to be reviewing films. I'm probably not going to be able to talk about the film much other than when I review it between now and then. So if you want to know more about Zack Snyder's Justice League in particular, go check out his videos because he does a lot of videos on it. As well as you got Film Gob, you got Fatal J, you've got the Nerd Queens, lots of people who make videos talking about it. So I recommend all of them as well. And Facebook groups as well. You've got Release the Snyder Cut, Release the Air Cut. You've got a lot of these things, groups, so you go to if you want to learn more. So I just recommend those if you want to learn more, or if you've got an interest or anything like that. But if you're against it, please don't just go to everything I just recommended and write loads of hate things on it, because that would make me feel bad for recommending them if you do that. So anyway, I'm now going to get on with the review. Sorry to just talk about all of that, but I wanted to recommend those things. Anyway, so I'm going to do the negatives first, because I like to end on positives. Because positive, leave on a positive note. I don't want to say this is good, and then say bad things and then leave with the impression that the film is bad. Because the film isn't bad, it's actually, I really enjoyed it, it's really good. So I just want to do the few things which bugged me, or I'm aware bug people, but I want to just give a couple disclaimers first. The first thing is, I have not watched the 1978 original by George A. Romero, so this is completely open from this film. This is my review of the 2004 version. I won't be comparing it much to the original, so, don't think that I'm going to be sitting here saying, because I haven't watched it. So, I'm just reviewing this, and when I did watch the film, I did get quite a lot of texts, I did respond to them, I did miss a couple things, not a lot. I was watching it with my dad, so, I didn't miss anything, really. Probably didn't even need to say this, I just wanted to be open and honest. But I didn't miss loads of things. I probably missed 45 seconds of the entire film throughout the film. Not 45 seconds in one go. I mean, throughout the entirety of the film, I probably missed 45 seconds. So I don't really probably need to mention this. I just wanted to be honest. So anyway, now the first negative, and that is there is a lot of characters in this film. And I mean, there is a lot. Way too many. Because you have the first few who meet each other. And you're like, okay, is this going to be the group? Is this the group of characters that you follow? And then a couple of minutes later, they run into 3 security guards, and you're like, okay, is this the amount of characters that we're going to have? And then a few minutes later, 2 people arrive in a lorry, and you're like, oh, is this, okay, is this the group now? And then it turns out there's 6 people inside the lorry, and you're like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of characters now, and then it turns out there's another character who's on the building opposite the mall, which they're hiding in, and he's also a character. So by the time you get to that many characters, you're like, okay, there's a lot now. And I even forgot who one of them was, because there's a woman who is briefly in it. She doesn't really have a name. She's in it for like a minute. You sort of see her walking part of the group, and you're like, okay, I don't know, really, I don't care, whatever. And then I completely forgot about her. And then the next time she shows up, that I remember, is a close-up of her face getting shagged doggy style. And I was like, who the fuck is she? And it took me like 20 seconds to remember who she was. Like, I just completely forgot. And there was a lot of characters in this film. Because there's so many characters, and because a few of them are quite similar, and then they sort of just have very, very brief introductions, and then they're not in it for like 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden they're in it again. I'm like, okay, I actually forgot you were in the film, and I didn't miss you when you weren't here. So, yeah, there is a, like, 5 characters too many, and because of obviously with there's so many characters, I cannot remember the actors or actresses. I only know one of them by name, and that's Ving Rhames, and everyone else I don't even remember, so I don't remember who they are. I recognise a couple of them, but I don't know who they are, and I'm not going to try and remember the cast of like 15 people, so yeah, sorry. And also with the characters, there's a few stereotypes, you know, like I said with the girl, there's the slutty, stupid one, there's the arsehole in the group who ends up being quite a nice guy and, you know, does a lot towards the end, but towards the beginning you're like, I don't trust you, and then you get the arsehole who's just a bit of an arsehole, and then you get the arsehole who's such an arsehole you can't wait for a zombie to eat his face. So, and then you get like the angry, tough, I'm the silent but I can kill a lot of people one. You get the main female character type of lady. You get the sort of reserved hero type person. You get the guy who's in it to cause a bit of conflict. It's basically like a lot of stereotypes, sort of characters that you get in films like this all together in one group, but there's so many of them that you forget who half of them are, and you can't really tell them apart when it comes down to it. And that's just that. And also, the arsehole who's such an arsehole you can't wait to die was such a dick, it was frustrating. It was like, I know he's meant to be that type of character, you're not meant to like him, but he was so deliberately a dickhead and so deliberately useless that you question why no one killed him, because he deliberately did things to fuck them up. Or would not deliberately did things, but he would deliberately not do things that will get them killed, as if so much so he's not such, he's so bad, but he's not like he just doesn't care. It's almost as if he wants everybody dead, but he doesn't, so you don't understand what his motive is, other than the fact he's such a dick that he just wants to be that much of a dick all the time. And I don't get why you have a character who's almost a villain. He's that useless. He's that bad. He just fucks everything up for people all the time. Every time a situation involves him, he fucks it up. So I don't know why you would have that. But when I say every time, I can think of one thing in my top of my head, but it's such a big thing he fucks up, or tries to fuck up, but I can't really let it go, because you're like, why would... you know, if I was one of the other people, I would probably have shot him in the face for it. Because he's, you know, that much of it, what he did was that shit. Anyway, and speaking of the main character, I mentioned her briefly a minute ago, she discovers, because she's a nurse and she works in medicine and she, you know, she's dealt with infections and things like that before, but people who are bitten turn into zombies. The virus kills them and the zombies come back to life. She's the one who figures that out. And you're like, okay, no problem for that. I don't have any problem with it taking them a while to realise it's the bites that infect people, because obviously if you watch a zombie film, that's obvious, but if the zombie apocalypse actually happened, you might not think that initially. You might think it could be airborne, you might think it's something to do with food or, other things like that, so you wouldn't necessarily think, or you wouldn't necessarily not think, but what I'm saying is, that might not be, you wouldn't necessarily just 110% assume, yes, that's definitely the case. So she's the one who figures it out, but that is the case. If you're bitten, you'll get a disease, you will die, and you will come back as a zombie. Yet she has a problem with anybody who gets bitten being shot. And she, tries to prove a point at one point. Like, there's a guy who's bitten, and they say, I'm sorry you've been bitten, and blah 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 blah, there's nothing else we can do, and this guy says, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to shoot him, and the guy's daughter is like, no, don't shoot my dad, blah blah blah, and the dad's like, it's okay, and all of that, sort of thing. And the woman is like, saying to the guy who's about to shoot him, see, can you shoot him? His daughter's begging for his life. Can you do it? Are you that much of a killer? It's like guiding him into not doing it. And I'm like, you're the one who figured this out. You're the one who knows what's going to happen. And you know they're locked in a shopping mall with people who are going to turn into zombies. And you saw it happen earlier. And you know what's going to happen. It happened to your family. Why have you got a problem with this? Why? And obviously, killing somebody isn't a very nice thing to do, especially, when they're an old guy and their daughter's there and they're not an arsehole and they're actually on your side, and you don't want to be a murderer. But in this situation, considering you're the one who figured this all out, why have you got this big of a problem with it? Why are you the only one arguing against it? Right? Even the guy isn't arguing against it as much as you are. Why are you fucking this up for everybody? I don't know why, but that just really, really pissed me off. That scene, that just rubbed me up the wrong way. Because she's the one who figured it out. She's the main character. She's the one you're meant to follow the most. She's the first person introduced. And yet, I would say she did the biggest fucking stupid thing in the whole film. So I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay. And that just wound me up. And negatives that might exist, but I don't know. Just going off that rant, otherwise I'm going to keep going on and on about it, and I don't want to keep doing that. Obviously, like I said, I haven't watched the original, so if you're a fan of the original, there might be things in this film that you don't like. I don't know if that is the case. I know that some people, including George A. Romero, who did the original, didn't like the fact that in this film zombies could run, because in the original they were very, I do know they were very slow, they were zombies, whereas in this one they're like feral and run at 20 miles per hour and stuff like that. So I don't know if that bothers you, but yeah, that's just a possibility. But again, for me, it's a remake, and it does a good job as a remake in that it doesn't try to be a shot-for-shot, beat-for-beat recreation of the original. As far as remakes go, this is actually probably one of the best ones I've ever watched, because it's not shit. It doesn't just feel like you're watching something where there's a film out there that's already done the same thing. Even though, like I said, I've not watched it, you can tell with remakes that even if you've not watched the original, that they're cheap imitations of something that already exists, and this film doesn't feel like it. And I know enough about the original to know that this film does stand on its own quite well. So, yeah, that just might bother you. If you're a big fan of the original, there might be things that bother you about this. Just, heads up. And my last real negative, I think, is that it's not even a negative for me. It actually isn't. I actually liked it, and without spoiling anything, people might not like the ending. I'm not going to say what the ending is. I'm not going to say what happens, but some people might love it, some people might look at it and think it's a bit of a cop-out, some people might think it's great, some people might think it's not what they wanted, and blah 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 blah. But I know I'm not trying to spoil the ending, but especially when it comes to horror films or action films, you get people who are angry when they win, or happy when they win, or get angry when they lose, or get happy when they lose. So either way, you get people who get pissed off with either. So I'm just putting that out there, that you might not like the ending, it might not be what you want, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. So yeah, I think that's my only negative. So yeah, actually no, sorry, I do have one more slight negative, and that's with the action scenes, which I love Zack Snyder for action. He's a great action director, and I think he's probably the best. It's just sometimes the camera was too shaky, camera was too quick cut for too long. Because the action scenes are quite long in this film. So sometimes, especially towards the end, it was so quick cut for so long that I was just a bit like, okay, just can you calm it down just for 2 minutes, just to recollect. It was a bit too shaky. However, Zack was correct when I read one of his interviews where he said, if the cameras are on the zombies for too long, you start to notice that they are actors, they're extras, they're whatever they are, stunt people, and not real, because there's only so long someone can pull a terrifying zombie-like face with wild eyes for so long without slipping up or blinking or, yawning or whatever the fuck. So, yeah, I can see what he meant by that. And I agree with him. It's just because everything was so quick cut for quite a while. Just a little bit. Not too much. It's not like Quantum of Solace level, oh my god, what the fuck, I can't even tell what's going on. It's just that it just got a little bit too much. But that's it really. Nothing major. So anyway, now I am definitely out of negatives. So now on to the positives. Okay, so my first positive is I really like the zombies. I really like the zombies a lot. I actually thought they were really good, and they were quite terrifying actually. You sometimes watch a zombie film and you're like, I don't really give a shit about these zombies, but these zombies were really good. I actually really liked them. They were actually a lot like a combination of the Walking Dead zombies, the way the virus kills them, the way they turn and the way they look, but they had the movements and the characteristics of World War Z zombies, so I thought it worked really well. I actually thought it was a good combination, actually a pretty terrifying combination. One thing confused me was how long it takes you to get infected. Some people got bitten and were 5 minutes later were zombies. Other people got bitten and then weeks later they were zombies. So I don't really know. I don't know if I did miss something like that, but whatever. They still were really cool and they were quite terrifying, and the way they some of them remember to do things or remember what things are, and it was quite cool. And they still have some habits, and you're like, okay, so there's still a little bit of them in there somewhere, and it worked quite well actually. Especially there was one scene where someone threw a gas bottle at one of the zombies, and the zombie caught it, and is like, oh shit! The zombie knows what he's holding, and then of course they shoot the gas can and it blows up, and all of that. But it's quite funny in that moment where the zombie's holding a gas can and is like, oh fuck. So yeah, I did like that. That was quite funny.
Give me a shotgun!
of funny, this film actually does have quite a lot of good moments of humour. It was written by the writer and director of both Guardians of the Galaxy films, and he has done horror films. I think he did, his first film was a horror film, so he knows how to do horror, and there was quite a lot of comedy elements to it, and it worked really well. Like I said, there's a guy on the other side of the street, on the roof of a gun shop, which is opposite the shopping mall where the other characters are hiding, and they communicate with each other by holding up boards and using binoculars to read what's on them, including playing things like chess and stuff like that. And I thought that was quite funny. And they have this game where they look at the zombies and they try to find a zombie who looks like a celebrity, lift up the name of the celebrity, and he's got to find with his rifle which zombie they're talking about and shoot that one. And obviously if he shoots the right zombie, he gets a point. And it's things like that which are quite funny. They're very dark. It's a very dark sense of humour, but it is quite funny, and there's quite a few funny back and forth one-liners and stuff like that. And the cast work off each other really well, and their timing and stuff like that's good. And the cast are actually really good as well, in all fairness, for the most part. There's a couple where, because they're playing a stereotype, their acting comes across as stereotypical for what that type of character is, especially with one actor who, I can't remember his name, but I think he's from Modern Family. I've never watched Modern Family, just putting that out there, so I'm not 110% sure it was him, but I'm aware of who he is, and I think that's what I know him from, or have seen little bits of him in, if that makes sense. And obviously, like I said, Ving Rhames is in it, and I love Ving Rhames. He is amazing. He's like my favourite thing from the Mission Impossible films. He's, well, not my literally favourite thing, but he's really cool. I really like Ving Rhames quite a lot. So yeah, it was great to see him in this, and he's great in this, and he's the tough, cool guy, and he does it really well because he is just a tough, cool guy. So yeah, he was really good. I really liked him. And I don't know the name of the actor of the reserved hero type, but in terms of what they did in this film, I probably liked his character the most. He was really cool. He was, you don't think he's going to be that character to start with, but he grows into it, and he does it really well. He doesn't question things. He's very nice, but he understands the situation, and he tends to be the one who comes up with the plan and stuff like that. And I really liked his character. He was good. He was probably my favourite character in the whole film. And yeah, so yeah, the way the cast and the way they're written and everything like that, they all work off each other pretty well for the most part. And obviously with this film, as it's a zombie film, you've got, unless it starts off a couple months into the apocalypse like The Walking Dead does, you actually get to see the world go to shit in this film. And it is really good. The way to do that was really good. The way the world just ended quite quickly, I thought was really cool. You follow the nurse, and she works in the hospital, and she's, working on patients, and there's reports of a patient who's been bitten and is having his head scanned, and you're like, why is he having his head scanned if he was bitten on a wrist? What's going on? And the other nurse is like, I don't know, I just desk work, don't really care. So everybody's like, I don't know. And there's obviously the doctor who's a bit of an arsehole as well, and it's just like, alright, none of you really seems to probably should be working in a hospital, if I'm being honest. But yeah, they don't really know what's going on. There's not much communication between the doctors and nurses and other staff members to what is going on, and you're like, okay, it's cool that they're dropping little hints that things are happening, and then when she finally gets, because it's showing that she's been at work for too long, she should have left like an hour ago, but the doctor just keeps giving her work. He's an arsehole. He's just like, no, you do it, and blah blah blah, and she finally gets to leave, and you see like more of the ambulance workers having to leave because, it's all kicking off again, and you're like, oh, okay, so you get to see the little hints that something is going on before, you actually see everything that happens, if that makes sense. And she goes home. The daughter says, "Can I ride on my bike for a bit?" She says, "Yeah." She goes to see her husband. The husband spend the evening together. Wake up in the morning, and the daughter's at the end of the corridor, and it turns out she's been infected. She attacks the husband. The husband turns into a zombie. Zombie husband attacks the wife, and you're like, okay, so this has gone from little hints to shit's hit the fan really quickly. She escapes the house and is like looking outside her house, and everything's on fire. People are shooting each other. Zombies are running all over the place, and the neighbour points a gun at her and says, stay back, stay back. And she's like, please tell me what's going on. And he's just like, stay back, don't come near me. And unfortunately for him, he realises that ambulances may not always be the best emergency vehicle. He probably didn't expect that from an ambulance, but whatever. And then she escapes, and as she's driving, more shit's going on, and people are like running all over the place and getting ripped apart, and zombies are her zombie husband chases her until he sees one of the neighbours is a human, so goes for her instead and ruins her day. So you get to see the world go to shit really quickly, but it's really good the way they do it. And you're like, because she goes to bed and there's little hints of things, but it's not enough for you to go, yeah, there's a zombie apocalypse. It's just like, oh, someone got bitten in a fight and has got a headache, and you're like, oh, whatever, I don't care. And then obviously the next day the world ends and you're like, oh, fuck me, this went to shit really quickly. So the way it does that was really good. And there's a really cool shot of her driving down the road, and it's like a helicopter shot, and you just see the camera pan and just see all of this chaos going on. And that's probably my favourite shot of the whole film, is just following this car going down this main road as everything is going to chaos around it, and you see the city in the distance and it's all on fire, and you're like, oh my god, this obviously has gone very, very wrong very, very quickly. So I like that. And then more stuff happens, which I won't, I'm not going to spoil even more of it. Sorry if you think I said too much there, but I just wanted to say how well this film deals with going to 0 to 60 pretty quick, really fast, and it does it really well. Like I said, so she's driving down the road, and you see all of that, and then something happens, which I won't spoil, which then leads into the opening credit scene. And the opening credits are probably my favourite thing about the entire film. It's just a montage of news reports, camera footage, interviews, things like that, about the zombie invasion, to the song to the song "The Man Comes Around" by Johnny Cash. And I absolutely love it. It's already one of my favourite opening credit scenes, and I really like opening credit scenes, and I love this one. I thought it worked really well. I thought it was brilliant, and it is my favourite thing about the film. So yeah, I do like this film. Overall, I really do like this film. I would recommend it. If it's one of your, if you like Zack Snyder, if you watched Man of Steel, Batman v Superman 300, Watcher and Sucker Punch, whatever it is you've watched from him, I do recommend this film. I do think it works really well. If you don't really care about any of that, and you just like zombie films and you haven't watched it, I recommend it because it's a good zombie film. It's a good horror, sort of horror comedy, more, but not quite a horror comedy, more of a horror, but it does have elements of comedy in it. So, if you like that, I recommend it as well. If you like action, I recommend it. It works really well, no matter what type of thing it is you like watching, unless obviously you like watching Disney films, and then I don't even know why you're watching this review if that's what you're into, but yeah, I do recommend this film. It did work really well. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I do recommend it on Blu-ray. This is the unrated director's cut, and I think it worked. So I forgot what it was then. I didn't know if it was edition or cut. So yeah, sorry. I do recommend it, and there's the cast on top of it, or at least some of them. There's a lot of people in the film, but yeah, I do recommend the film a lot, and I recommend it on Blu-ray, and I recommend the unrated director's cut. I haven't watched the theatrical cut, I've only watched that version of it, and I like that version of it, so I'd recommend that one. So yeah, if you have watched the film as well, you know, let me know what you thought of it, comment that down, you know, tell me if you loved the film, if you liked the film, even if you hated the film, just let me know. Personally, I thought it was fun, I really enjoyed it. I know my dad also really enjoyed it, so yeah, let me know what you thought of it if you've watched it. If you haven't watched it, I hope this review's helped convince you to watch it, if, you know, it sounds like it's your sort of thing. I think that's all my positives. So yeah, I just thank you for watching the video. I hope you did enjoy the video. Like I said, I love Zack Snyder as a director, so I probably would have, I enjoy most of his films, so I watched this film thinking I was probably going to enjoy it, and I was right, I did enjoy it. So yeah, I do recommend the film, especially if you like any of those things I mentioned earlier. I think you will have fun with this film. Sorry, one last little positive was that, again, that I actually forgot that it was a little bit of a negative earlier, and I just remembered that it was also a positive now, so sorry about that. But just one last positive, even though earlier I said the action does get a bit shaky for too long at some points, for the most part the action's really fun. The action's actually pretty good throughout the entire film. I really enjoyed it, and I thought the way they have to shoot the zombies and the zombies swarm at them and just charge at them and are like going apeshit ballistic was really good. So yeah, the action is good and it's well choreographed, and you can tell they planned it out really well. It's just like I said earlier, it goes a bit shaky for a bit too long, but other than that, the action scenes are really cool and well planned out and were well made. So yeah, it does work at that as well. So the action's fun. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this review's convinced you to watch it. And I hope if you do watch it, you have enjoyed it. And if you have watched it, let me know what you thought of it. And yes, I will see you in the next video, which will be my review for 300. So thank you. I'll see you in that video. Sorry, I almost forgot to give my scoring then. I can't believe I almost forgot to do that. I almost forgot to give it what I thought of it. Sorry about that. Sorry. So yeah, in terms of film quality, I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10, because like it is a remake, it is a zombie film, there's a lot of characters, it wasn't going to be, and it was his first film, so it wasn't going to be like the highest rated film out of his, but yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, sorry. It is really, it is well made and it is a lot of fun, so I'm going to give it that. And its entertainment value is probably an 8.25 out of 10, because it is a really fun zombie film. Sorry, anyway, now that I've given the score, thank you for watching. I did hope you enjoyed the video and all of that again. Sorry that I forgot that. I don't know why I forgot that. But yeah, thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.